Hello, it's Matt Thomas from King Unique back on the Sonic, and what we're going to do today, well, we're going to look at how to get some vocals in your tracks if you're not a vocalist. If you are a vocalist, collect £200, go straight to go, you can just sing on your track, ta-da! But for the rest of us, we're going to want to add some vocals. Now that could be a sample you find, you might be remixing somebody. In the course of this course, I am going to make all kinds of appalling noises with my mouth, with my mouth. And I hope I'm going to encourage you to do the same, because you haven't really got to be a singer, you've just got to be able to speak, and if you can even pretend to sing, there's auto-tune and vocoders and all this kind of stuff. So you can probably do a lot more with vocals than you imagine. So in this course, I'm going to look at all the different key vocal effects, so things like vocoders, how to use talk boxes, we're going to look at pitch shifters, we're even going to look at auto-tune. A bit of Josh Wink style time stretching as well, the whole lot. So let's get started. Right now, vocoders, how do they work? Now we're going to look at what you do with them, what buttons to press in a minute, but I'm genuinely going to try and answer the question, how does a vocoder take something like my voice you can hear now, this is my voice, and a synthesizer like this, and combine them into a singing, vocal, speaking synthesizer robot? How is that done? It's not some kind of advanced replicant breeding program, because I've been doing it since the 60s with analog gear. So it must be something that we can understand the process of. Now, you may be thinking, well, yeah, you can understand it all you like, Matt. I couldn't give a monkey's. I'm off to just play with my vocoder. You're right, you are. You're off to the next chapter, and that's what we'll play with vocoders. But other people, myself included, and the guys still listening right now, you, that's it, you're one of these curious types, the kind that climb mountains and go to the ends of the earth and want to know why. Yeah, you're still here. So you and we're going to look at why vocoders do the thing they do and what the process is. And I'll try and do it real quick, because essentially what a vocoder does is it takes the volume of my voice and uses that to control the volume of a synthesizer. Now, it's more complex than that, but let's just start by modeling what I just said. Let's literally get my voice to control the volume of this synthesizer. Let's start there. So I'll go into, I'm in Ableton here, I'm going to use Max for Live, because in Max for Live there is a very handy envelope follower, which, not an envelope or an N space lope, there we go, envelope follower. So I'll drop one of these on the channel with my voice in, okay? Now, what an envelope follower does is it listens to the sound coming into it, and the louder that sound gets, the bigger the modulation signal it produces. And you can send that signal to anywhere. It could open a filter, make a sound louder, deflect some pitch. So we're going to use it to make the synthesizer's volume knob move, okay? So it'll make the synth louder. So here's the synth. And if I turn that synth right down, volume, see there, right down, play the synth, nothing happens, we can't hear it. Now here's the envelope follower, and you can see it's already responding to my voice. If I turn the gain up, you can see it now. There you go, get a much stronger signal. When I speak loudly, there you go, I'm clipping a bit, there it goes. When I speak loudly, there we go, get a nice high level. When I speak really quietly, we get a very low level. So that's creating a modulation signal that gets louder when I'm loud and gets smaller when I'm quiet. And so what I'll do is map that to the volume control of the synth. So I press map, I go to the synth, and I go, yeah. Now, I'm not playing any notes yet, but you can already see the volume knob is leaping up and down. It doesn't move much when I whisper, but it really jumps up when I'm loud. So I'm going to hold some notes down and see what that sounds like. We now have a synthesizer whose volume is controlled by the volume of my voice. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so you can hear straight away that that's working. Now what I'll do is I'll move that to the left and turn it down a smidgen, because that is a bit loud. And I'll move me to the right so you can hear the two separately. So here's me whispering in your ear. Well, not whispering, kind of graveling in your ear. And over here's the synth controlled by my voice. Here we go. So there is the synth separate to my voice. Now the reason I pan them apart is so that you can hear that my voice and the synth aren't really working together. The synth is just copying the volume, but if I turn my voice off, you won't be able to tell what I'm saying, which with a vocoder you can. So I'll just count to 10, I'll mute me out, count to 10, and you can hear it. It's not really a great vocoder yet. So yeah, if you could understand that 1 to 10, then well done you. it didn't sound very clear to me. So let's put me back in the center. Nonetheless, this is the basic idea behind a vocoder. The only thing it does to make it more complex and thus more understandable is instead of using the whole of my voice to control the whole of the synth's volume, what you do is you split the voice into a number of bands, just like we have bass, mid, and treble. Well, a good vocoder will have 8, 16, in some cases hundreds in the digital realm, but in the analog days, normally 16. A vocoder will have 16 bands running from the bass end through to the top end, little band pass filters, and you'll feed the voice into that, and you'll have an envelope follower listening to the volume of each band. So when I'm speaking very deeply like this, the deep bands will get lots of signal. And when I'm talking whispery and thin like this, only the top bands will get some signal. And you think, okay, well, that's analysing your voice. I understand that. But how does that control the synth? Well, all we do is we feed the synth into another set of exactly the same filters. But we control the volume coming out of each of those filters using the envelope followers that are listening to my voice. So when I'm talking deep and boomy like this, the volume of the synth's bass end filter parallel bands will be loud. And when I'm talking whispery like this, it will mean the volume of the top end filters on the synth will be loud. So I'll quickly show you, just using 2 bands, that even 2 bands straight away start to make things a bit more intelligible. So to do this, now if you're not an Ableton person, some of this might be a bit confusing. It doesn't matter. When I'm not trying to teach you how to do this because I expect you to do it yourself, I'll include these presets in the program, in the course for anybody who's interested, so you can have a play yourself. But all it is just to show you, this is the idea behind a vocoder. So I'm going to use a thing called the effects rack in Ableton, which just lets me do a rather handy thing, which is make multiple copies of the track. So as I say, we need to copy this into like 8 different bands if we were doing it properly. We'll just do 2 for now. So I'll bring an audio effects rack, put one after the synth, and put one on my voice. Okay, put it before the envelope follower, doesn't really matter either way. And as I say, we need to put multiple copies of my voice, each one through a separate filter. So I'll grab a filter. Here we go, auto filter, nice simple one. I'll make it straight away. There we go. So you hear a bit of my voice. So I will leave that there. That can be our top end filter. Okay, so there's our top end filter. I'll make it nice and broad. So that's listening to the top end of my voice. And if I press this button here, we can get multiple parallel copies of my voice. So I'll just Apple C and V and go make a copy of that. So we've now got 2 copies of my voice, both going through that same chunky filter, rather skinny filter, sorry. So I'll bring one down to the deeper end. There we go. So we've now got a bassy filter, which is that one, and a skinny filter, which is this one. Okay. And together they create a bit of a boxy version of my voice, a deeper end version and a brighter end version. Now we've still got that envelope follower. I'm just going to get rid of the mapping because it was controlling the synth's volume. So I'll turn the synth back up so we can hear it, because we're going to control not the overall sound of the synth, but the sound of the filters, aren't we? The volume of the filters. So what I will do is copy this effects rack now over to the synth as well. So we've got a copy of exactly the same kind of filtering going on. Okay, so the synth is being sent into a low and a high bandpass filter, okay? Back to the voice. We've got an envelope follower. If I put this in the effects rack on one of these chains, there you go. So we've now got it after the filter on the deep end. And if I make a copy and put it after the filter on the top end, okay? So we've now got a filter and an envelope follower, one for the bass end. You can hear that there, you can see the envelope followers jumping around because my voice is quite... And up here, it's not getting quite so much level, is it? Because, of course, the top end of my voice, little tiny bits of hiss and tease and stuff, not really as loud. So I can turn the gain up so that we get a bit more level to work with. There we go. And you see, if I talk lots of tiny, sibilant, whispery stuff and look at the bass end, it's hardly moving at all. But at the top end, it's really jumping around, you see. And vice versa. If I talk in a deep voice and do this and then check the top end, it's not really moving around as much as it is down here. So there we go. We've got my voice split into 2 filters, one bassy, one trebly, and each one creates an envelope follower signal. And I'm going to send those signals to the synth. So this is the bass end. So I'm going to map this over to the synth, to the volume of the bass end channel. And then on the top end, I'm going to map this. I'm going to map this to the volume of the top end. Okay. So now, in theory, ladies and gentlemen, if I play a chord on the synth and keep talking, I'll put me on the right, leave the synth on the left, we should now hear a slightly more intelligible vocoder. It's only 2 bands. It's not going to be amazing, but it should be better than just one. So here we go. Oh, that's really quiet, and that's because that's dropped to 0 again. Synth output. There you go. So synth back on 0. Let's try that one last time. Here I am. Oh, rather loud. Let's back that off a tiny bit. So straight away, that's more of a vocoder. If I play deeper down, there we go, a little less harsh. I think you can hear we've got some articulation now. So if I play this, and this, yeah, you see, that's a basic vocoder, a 2-band vocoder. It shouldn't be that amazing because that's why vocoders have a lot more bands. But I'll do the 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. test now. I'll take my voice out and we'll hear if we can understand me saying those numbers. So here we go. Yeah, it's better. It's still a long way away from what I'd consider to be a comprehensible, nice sounding vocoder. But yeah, we've got something there which is a vocoder. And that is the basic idea. Just controlling multiple bands of filters by listening to bands of filters on my voice and using those volumes to control the bands of filters on the synthesizer. Now, before we began recording this, I actually put together a more complicated full 8-band vocoder using this idea. So I'll just quickly bring that up for you, and I'll probably actually spare you the heartache of watching the entire process. So I have here the stuff I made earlier, which is an audio effect rack. I've saved some stuff. So I've got a vocoder analysis effects rack, which has actually got 8 channels. There you go, all 8 channels there of filtering. Okay. And I'm going to put the same idea, the resynthesis, on the end of the vocoder synthesizer. So we've got this synth here, and again, the same filter banks on there. And all I have to do is just map each one of these channels onto each one of those channels. So bass end of my voice, bass end of synth volume. Next channel up, number 2 onto number 2, etc. So on number 3, guess we're going to map this bad chap. Band 3 is going to band 3 volume. That's it. Etc. So let's go on to band 4. Map. We're halfway there, folks. Halfway there when this one lands. Look at that. Boom! I'm showing you this because I'm going to give you the presets, these vocoder analysis, vocoder resynthesis, and if you're unable to use it, you can use them, but you're going to have to do this mapping each time, okay? So just map channel 6 to channel 6, volume, channel 7 to channel 7, volume, and last of all, channel 8, map you to channel 8, volume. And there we go. I've now got 8 filters in this audio effects rack, 8 bandpass filters analyzing the volume of my voice and controlling the filters after this synthesizer. And again, in theory, I'll put me to the right and see what we get. Here we are, something more like a real vocoder that can actually make intelligible sounds, unlike me, actually. I'll try that again. That can actually make intelligible sounds, particularly on these warmer sounds down here, if I play some deeper notes. So I shall mute me out, we'll do the 1, 2, and see how that goes. So we've learned how vocoders work. Now let's go and look at some commercial ones and see what we can actually do with them.
Thanks everyone for watching. We really appreciate the support from you guys. If you liked this video, then smash that like button, and if you want to be notified about new content, hit the subscribe and the bell notifications. Peace!